This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
Guys, I am so excited for this episode. I've been waiting for a long time. We do not talk enough about history on this podcast. We are throwing it back to 1787, baby. We're talking George Washington. We're talking James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, Benjamin Franklin. Yeah.
Oh, are we?
The Constitutional Convention, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Stole my notes, Zach.
What?
That's a Joel joke.
That was a good convention, though.
It's good. It was good convention.
Yeah.
It was really important.
The humor was a little conventional, but that was a good convention.
Yeah. I mean, we had to, update things in the old country, if you know what I mean.
How much do you think signatures were?
Large? What?
Stealing the Declaration of Independence. Who's that?
Welcome to Baconsale.
Give the
Joel.
lemon juice.
Kent.
I'm Zach.
Let's keep that one. We'd like to thank you for listening to our last episode, our anniversary episode, our 446th episode.
Thank you so much for celebrating Baconsale as we celebrate you, specifically Alicia. The Yoko Ono impression just slayed. It was so good.
Yeah,
So
we've
thank
got a
you for
lot of like people just come up to me like that was hilarious, and I'm like, I know.
that. And congratulations to one of you. I won't spoil it here. Go listen to the episode.
I like how you did
Ooh,
that.
teaser.
What?
I like that. But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today?
Clearly,
Zach?
I have no clue.
No, hold on.
know.
Here's the thing. When you went into history real quick, we have a guest, by the way. We'll get there. You mentioned
Pull
history.
back the curtain. Oh,
Our guest felt a little guilty, I could tell. Welcome, everyone. It's Kyler. Kyler, welcome back to the show.
yes,
Well,
Kyler,
thanks.
you were here. You've been here before on Baconsale episode 209, Dungeon Master of the House, with the Bacon Bit, the history of D&D with Kyler. And also you joined us on episode 356, a more civilized Star Wars quiz.
Yeah.
And so we've talked D&D. We've talked Star Wars, two of your favorite subjects.
true.
And I believe we're about to speak about a third of your favorites.
Yes, I'm a huge nerd.
Yeah.
If that's not readily apparent.
We've talked about doing a history done wrong in movies show.
But I'm telling you, if I were going to give the over-under of what show he would have done, I was going to pick a history show. I thought for sure you were
Because
going to do
he knows a
history
lot.
show.
You know a lot.
I know a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So what are we doing today?
We're talking about conventions.
Okay, here we go. It is convention season, right? Or is all year convention season?
At this point, it's kind of all year, but generally like summer
Okay.
into
It's
fall is like the
always
most.
convention season.
Okay. And there are multiple types of conventions. I think the ones that I think most of our listener are going to know about is maybe a fan convention.
Yes. Because that's, I don't know if you have the history of conventions, Kyler.
I do not.
But the short
Joel
version
does.
is, no, Zach is actually absolutely right. The short version is that the original conventions were like political conventions. And that was, it's just a group of people of like-minded individuals talking about something like together in a room. And so it can be anything.
Yep.
But primarily, and I didn't realize this until I did some research. I'm not going to go into full Joel notes here.
Okay.
But primarily, it was sci-fi conventions were kind of like the thing. Back in the 30s, they were doing these.
Wow.
And so they weren't like sci-fi conventions like that. It was like people who'd get together and discuss science fiction, almost like a book club, but on a larger
So it's like
scale.
they're talking like Edgar Rice Burroughs and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, Jules Verne and all these kinds
Wow.
of things. Like they got into it. And sci-fi conventions literally have continued since then and are probably one of the biggest conventions still out there today. And now we have, of course, you mentioned fan conventions, which is a bunch of people getting together, but there are other ones too. Some other ones they talked about was obviously comic book conventions, which are different. Like
Would those
are,
not be fan conventions?
those are technically comic cons.
Yeah.
But that term has become kind of everything is a Comic Con now, to the point where legal action has been taken.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But then I was reading about a bunch of different conventions for like even like business conventions,
Yes.
technology conventions,
Yeah, sure.
furry conventions, other conventions.
I actually have 3 that I found on the internet today. There's one called Shrek Fest. This is held in Milwaukee, and they have an onion eating contest, costume contest, obviously, and a Shrek roar contest. It did end this year after 10 years.
Come on. I'm just finding out about it.
Surprising.
And then
Me and Brian would go.
We've talked
Brian
5 times longer than the average podcast.
I know, true story. We've also talked about the Gleasons on this show, and there is an Irish redhead convention.
Oh,
it's held
don't sign me up for that one.
It's you can't go. You
You're not
can't go.
redhead.
Oh, thank goodness.
So they do have.
I'm not sad.
This is held in Ireland every year, obviously, and they have a Best Ginger Awards, and the prizes are most freckles per square inch, best wannabe redhead. So Zach, you,
No.
and the world's greatest ginger beard. Okay,
Ginger beard.
and lastly, you're gonna love this one,
Okay.
the Waikiki Spam Jam. Hey, it is no. And here's the thing: we should go. It's in Waikiki, obviously.
Yeah, I'm in.
It's actually on April 27th, so we need to go now.
Yeah, let's just leave it.
It's a block party where they have 30 booths and they have different recipes and cool stuff they've
sounds
made
awesome.
out of Spam. I guess I'm learning that conventions are. I've always seen them as comic conventions, but now I'm like, it's really just like-minded people going to like maybe a concert, like an all-day concert for a band or something like that.
Yeah. Well, even like horror conventions. I found out there's like a whole subgenre of horror conventions where it's just like either animatronics or decorations or things like that, but also costumes and also just meeting horror authors.
Which kind of conventions have you gone to?
Ooh, well, depending on how broad we want to make that umbrella, like LTUE here in Provo, Life, the Universe, and Everything convention.
It's Douglas Adams convention?
What? No, no. It's like a writing convention.
Okay.
It's actually where the first time I met Nicole D. Hale. Hi, Nicole.
Hey, Nicole.
I was there as a panelist for podcasting.
Oh, cool.
Hey,
So I was like,
that's awesome.
I was
That's
like
something
in
we've never done,
2020,
right?
Well, Kent has.
Oh, okay.
So like I've gone to that. I've gone to Gen Con, which is a gaming convention. I've gone to.
Can you tell us about the
FanX.
sizes of each of these as you talk about them?
Really
That's
small.
just it. When we say conventions,
Yeah.
like I picture like big room, the giant hall, lots of people. But some of
exactly.
these are honestly like 50
Yeah.
people.
So like LTUE in Provo, there's like maybe a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's very, very small. They fit it in like the Provo, like I can't even remember what the building is called. It's
a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, pretty much. It's so small. The biggest one, according to the paper I have in front of me that I've been to, although I don't believe Wikipedia, the source of all knowledge and truth, where I got these numbers,
It never
is
lies.
FanX is the biggest one that I've been to.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't think so because I really felt like Star Wars Celebration had more people. So I don't know.
And have you ever been to the big San Diego Comic-Con before?
No, but I do. I will be talking about that later because I do have some connections. I just need to take advantage of those connections.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you do want to go one day.
Yes, I would like to go.
But
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I mean, we've talked a lot about Star Wars. Like a Star Wars Celebration would be more up your alley.
Yeah,
like
that was
you want to go.
That
to
was
a
my number
specific
one most
convention.
favorite convention that I've gone.
Is that held
It
every
was
year?
So fun. No, it's not held every year. So
Okay.
It's
some
every-
conventions are, some conventions aren't.
It's every 3 years, then it pauses for 20 years, then it goes every 3 years, then
Yeah,
pauses for 20
exactly.
years.
And it's
Yeah.
bought by another company.
Yeah.
Sure.
Most conventions, like what you're thinking of, do happen annually.
Okay.
But like Star Wars Celebration isn't necessarily. It ends up being every couple of years, like every 2 or 3 years, but there's no set schedule for it. It's just they will announce the next one at the previous one.
It's crazy because you may lose fan hype if you don't have it every year, right?
But not for
It's
Star Wars. Not
Yeah.
for Star Wars. Yeah, so no, not for Star Wars.
A little shine off the Millennium Falcon there.
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit.
so I've been to like smaller ones like Grand Rapids Comic Con. I've been to some other really small ones whose names I don't even remember.
Can I
in the
ask you a
Midwest.
question though?
Yeah.
Like, why go to a Comic-Con in another state if they do have them regularly here in Utah?
when you live in that other state and they're nearby.
Okay, so that was so you were. I wonder if you were like traveling to Grand Rapids. Just
No,
to
when
go
I
to
was
that
in
one.
grad school, a friend of mine worked conventions, and she was like, "You're a desperately poor grad student and a nerd. Do you want to come work my booth, and I will give you some money to do so, and then you can also go to these fun conventions?" And I was like, "Sure, let's do it."
I was maybe thinking it'd be nice to go to a smaller convention. Maybe there's a celebrity you like, but also it's not as congested.
There are advantages and disadvantages
Okay.
to bigger and smaller.
Yeah.
And we'll get there.
Okay.
And,
Yeah,
and
there's-
one of the reasons we thought this would be a good idea for a show is that some people out there, they go all the time. They know what to do, but other people don't go simply because they don't know what the experience is, and they're a little intimidated by what could happen.
And it can be overwhelming, which is again part of why I wanted to do this episode, to be like it's like drugs. You have to have somebody show you the way.
Hello, family.
I mean,
friendly.
You mean like Advil and Tums, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
bowling.
And so
Or
you have
archery.
to. It
Should've
can
said
be
it.
less intimidating if you kind of know a little bit about what you're getting into and can kind of go into it with some.
Because I'll tell you what,
advice.
a lot of people when they think about conventions, what they think is crowds and
Yes.
cost, and those are the
Well,
big
for me,
things.
coming from like looking more in the business side of it,
Yeah.
I think about conventions almost like trade shows, where it's just like, oh, I'm there to be sold something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
some
it's-
people go there to buy stuff.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, it's just a big sales pitch deal, and which is not obviously always the case. But where I have had a lot of people in my life who are like, why should I even go to one of those? It sounds weird and smelly, and I have to tell them, I mean, it is, but it's like fun, weird, and smelly.
Can I tell you one of the reason the
Baconsale.
first convention I ever went to, well, major convention I should say, was the FanX. And my big draw after that was seeing the costumes. the amount of work that went into them, that's what I go there for now. Like Celebrity Row was fine to go there and see these people who I, used to look like the person they used to look like.
Yeah.
But then,
Wow, they look way worse in person.
my dad, but actually when I brought my dad to one of the conventions, Barbara Eden, I think it was there.
Oh, nice.
For My Dream of Jeannie. And I said, Dad, Barbara Eden's there. And he's like, I don't want to see her now. I have memories of her.
No.
I don't want to. And I was like, Dad, and we laughed about it. But anyway, no, but the costumes, I was so impressed that every year I go back now, I just want to go wander the floor and just see these amazing costumes that people have put so much work into. And I don't know where they get the time or the money to make those costumes.
Yeah.
Or the talent, because some of these, it's amazing.
And we're giving a really high level, like, oh, we're so excited about conventions. You're going to break this down for us.
Yes, let's let Kyler break it down.
And maybe
break it down.
maybe in order to maybe talk about what happens before a con, during a con, maybe just I don't know. For me, here's what I want to know: is it worth paying full price for like a 3-day con? Maybe going 1 day. These are things that I'm hoping you educate us on. I mean, because generally I go for free.
Oh, can I give one? My maybe.
so lame.
We've talked about this before about tips and tricks, and I don't have many because I've only been to very few conventions. But I just want to bring up 2. Number 1, wear deodorant. That's basic
That's
hygiene.
given.
Basic hygiene.
Yeah.
Please do.
Basic hygiene, please.
But number 2 is, and this is more of a general tip, I would say if you have a passion for something, I bet you money there's a convention for it.
Correct.
And so
100%.
a simple Google search will get you to find where the closest one is near you, and you can be with I don't want to say like-minded individuals because that sounds weird, but like you can find other people who share the same passion as you, and that's the fun of conventions, is going to a place where other people love something just as much as you do.
That's actually kind of a perfect segue to the first thing I want to talk about.
Yes.
Love it. Okay, go on.
It's a convention about segways.
Exactly. Yes,
Everyone's
actually.
riding around on them.
Zach needs one of those.
I would love that.
You have a razor.
I know, I'm so much stronger in my legs.
Which one?
So the first thing that I want to talk about, is picking a convention to go to.
Okay, perfect.
So starting with, what are your interests, right? They have Harry Potter conventions, they have Star Trek conventions, they have the Star Wars celebration.
Supernatural.
They have just general nerdy stuff or
They
pop
even have
culture stuff.
And it's not even like media stuff. They have stuff like sewing conventions.
Yes.
I've seen those out there.
And this is the thing is you think about an RV and boat show.
Yeah.
That's a convention.
Yeah.
If you think about it, that really is, or the gun show. I just saw on the way up
show.
here.
Show.
There was a billboard for the Mountain America Expo gun show.
Did you go to
whatever.
PrepperCon a couple years ago?
PrepperCon would be another good one.
Or
a good example.
PepperCon, if you're big fans of doctors.
I didn't go to PrepperCon.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, we get it.
Not chili peppers?
Red hot ones.
Sorry, Kyler. We're going to do this all show
We had
long.
so much sugar before we started
I
recording.
didn't go to PrepperCon because the reason I would have gone to PrepperCon, I no longer want to see.
Okay. Yeah. No, I get it.
A certain
hate
other
tents?
podcast.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you could have gone in a hurricane simulator
I
like
could
Zach
have.
and I.
It
Yep.
was so adorable. Recently shared on Twitter.
So find a convention. Google is your friend. Go just be like, Harry Potter conventions or whatever, and there will be.
Although these aren't always going to be local.
They won't always be local,
But depending how much your passion is, you'd be willing to travel for
correct. And bigger cities obviously are more likely to have a convention. So here in Utah, for example, Salt Lake is a relatively big city, so it has one.
Yeah, they're not-
But Denver, Cleveland, Boston, Atlanta, Toronto, Orlando, Anaheim. These are all cities that have, just off the top of my head, Grand Rapids I mentioned, but that's a pretty small one, or relatively small anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then things to consider: what's your budget, and how far are you willing to travel?
Okay.
But that's what I was going to ask. So tickets for conventions, ballpark, what are we looking at here?
It totally depends on the convention and how big it is. So I just Googled some of the bigger ones, 3 that I've been to and 2 that I hope to go to.
Okay.
So MegaCon in Orlando, Florida. I have
Wait,
not
let me
been
guess.
there.
MegaCon is about fans of Megadeth.
No.
Oh,
It's just a really big pop culture convention.
Ah.
Almost every con will have some kind of VIP,
Sure.
elite.
And what would VIP get you at a
It
basic
usually,
convention?
so they always will get you in the door early to the vendor hall and to celebrities and stuff like that. You'll usually get in between a half an hour and an hour early, which is critical if that's if celebrities are a thing you're into.
Okay.
and I am.
Or panels.
Yeah, and
Not quite.
sometimes
Okay.
it depends.
Panels being a group of people are there to talk and there's the audience listening.
Correct. Then there'll usually be some kind of mid-level ticket entry.
Okay.
Then there'll usually be a weekend pass, you know, that lasts the whole convention that lets you get in, and then you can buy dailies. FanX is the only one that I know of that also does a family pass.
Well, we're in Utah.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
But the fun thing about the cost, and I say the fun thing in quotes here, because that's a get you in the door fee.
Yes.
Then there's
And
also
then-
so many things to buy, food and souvenirs and artwork.
Yeah, you
and-
want a couple grand for a good experience at a con.
Joel, I'm assuming you don't buy much within a convention.
I usually like to wander the floor.
Yeah, of course, but without buying anything.
He's window shopping.
I think I have bought something at a con, maybe.
Okay.
But no, the
But
thing
like
about it is-
food, we'll talk about food in a little bit.
Well,
but
we will, but also just like the fact that you also have photo ops and even some autographs cost money. So there's a fee to get you in the door,
Correct.
but that doesn't include all the extras that come once you get in there.
yeah.
Yep. So MegaCon in Orlando. These are the early bird.
That's the one for Megaphone fans, right?
Yep, exactly. So for 2025, this one happens in the beginning of February. The VIP ticket is $549.
Holy
What?
cow.
That's the early bird price. It'll be more
That's
like
like the price of like a
$750.
high-end megaphone.
Yes. Then there's
It's
the
almost
ultimate,
as much as the ticket I bought to an NFL game.
Then there's the ultimate ticket, which is kind of their mid-level. And usually the mid-level one will have some perks of the VIP, usually like getting in the door early as well, which is, anyway, that's $149, normally $179. Then there's the 4-day, $109, normally $149. And then dailies range between $21 and $54, depending on the day.
See, that's not bad. Why is it hard to get passes to San Diego Comic-Con?
It's one of the biggest cons. It's easily the most famous con.
I like how we call it a con because con also means like a ripoff.
It
or
is a
scam.
little, yeah.
funny?
It,
Yeah,
it
I
is
love that,
funny.
yeah.
Why is it so popular? It's Marvel, it's DC. There's, rabid fans there
It's
that
where
want
the
to go.
big names of entertainment go to announce things or
Right,
promote
and
things.
this is part of what happens at convention. Depending on the convention, you will have major announcements for whatever the convention is about happen
Okay.
there. And so it's cool to be a part of that
zeitgeist.
first group that knew, and usually they'll give you like goodies to like be like, I was there. Like when I went to Star Wars Celebration, I got into the Lucasfilm Studio Showcase. That's the panel to get into.
small
So then-
intimate room where people can talk to each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
not.
about a small group of about 10,000.
Okay.
And I got like a special like Andor poster because they were promoting that,
Cool.
and then got an invite to go see the world premiere of Kenobi later that night. Like, so there's you want to get into these big panels. So, and San Diego Comic-Con has stuff like that. I mean, that's where they announced like the MCU and things like
Okay,
that were
yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal. Then Gen Con is this is a so
That's
the,
fans of Jennifer Garner.
Genghis Khan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Gen Con.
Of all the Jennifers, Jennifer Garner,
She's my favorite.
She is
Come on.
lovely.
Save for a Jennifer episode.
Lopez, Lawrence,
Better.
Love Hewitt.
You already did a name game episode.
There's like pop culture or like kind of nerd conventions. Gen Con is a little bit different. This is a gaming convention, but so think any
Yes.
kind of game, but not video games. So like board games,
So tabletop
tabletop
games,
games, any kind of game you would play that's not a video game is at Gen Con.
I had a question about these gaming conventions. So you've been to a gaming convention.
Yes.
When you go to the gaming conventions, because once again, fee to get in, do you have to pay a fee to play games?
It depends on the convention. That's going to be a recurring theme.
Because that'd be so sad to walk into a gaming convention and then not play anything.
So
it's like a $10 table right here.
So like at Gen Con, for example, that's where, so I play a lot of Star Wars tabletop war games, which I still want to do an episode on that. Everyone bother them until they let me do it. So like Star Wars Legion, it's a tabletop like ground combat where you're playing like big armies of like Star Wars or whatever, or Armada. So the North American championships for those games take place at Gen Con.
Okay, so you're watching championships.
Yeah, so what you'll do is like you will play like at your local
Watching
store.
Candyland championships at Gen Con.
You will play at your local store, and like if you win there, then you can go to a bigger game convention and play there. And if you win there, then you earn a ticket to the grand championship in North
Are there
America.
prizes for winning? Like,
Yeah.
is there a
The
pot?
prize is you get to move to the next one and go compete at Worlds.
I feel like I
there's
saw
no
this
purse or
in
anything like that?
I saw this in a movie once. They finished it on like a riverboat deal.
That's Maverick.
Oh,
I love that movie.
So they will. So like you'll get like alternate art unit cards or something like that, or like they'll give you special dice, like alternate dice or things like that.
Would a con
if
like
you
this
win.
just be for game playing, or are you meeting
So
players that you like, or celebrities?
It depends on the con. So at Gen Con, you'll go there, and Gen Con is a really cool experience because you'll have game developers there that are like, come try out this board game that we're developing now and give us your feedback and see what you like about it. Come play test
And then they
this
explain
game.
it for 2.5 hours. You still don't understand.
Kind
Let's
of.
do a practice run, guys.
Well, but hopefully by the time they come to Gen Con, it's pretty well, and they're like, we just kind of want to iron out any kinks and get like a bunch of playtesters for free that we don't have to pay for.
Yeah.
and to just see if there's anything we missed, kind of an idea.
There was a quick story, if I may.
Yeah.
There was a friend of mine, Ryan. He's been on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Him and some buddies went to a convention, and they were giving this game out to people who owned game stores. And they may have convinced the person that they owned a game store of some sort. So they got this game.
Okay.
But because they got the game, Quelf was the game.
Oh, okay.
And because
yeah.
they got the game, because of that, the influence, I know at least a dozen people who have bought the game because of them getting it, which I went, you know what, justified.
It sounds like a lot of conventions are all about FOMO, right? Because you could enjoy games at home. You can enjoy the movies at home.
FOMOCon.
FOMOCon?
Yeah. Everyone goes to FOMOCon, Kent.
There are a lot at the bigger conventions. It is a requirement often that big vendors offer some sort of exclusive for the con.
Okay.
So
That's
that
cool.
people will have to come, and that's the only place to get it.
Yeah. I'm going to assume the regular person who goes to a lot of these cons isn't going to find the merch that's exclusive. Like, maybe keep your eye out while you're at certain conventions.
Yeah. So the thing with exclusive merch is many people use the exclusive merch to fund their convention.
Okay.
They will go there and buy like the rare Funko Pop and then turn around and sell it on eBay for the price of their badge.
Okay.
Or, you know, and kind of recoup the cost of their convention that way. But
Man, people are
it's
so much smarter
usually
than
the
me.
people that have the VIP passes that are in the convention hall
Early. Okay.
that buy it all up. So by the time the newbies and the peasants get in, there's nothing left.
So you're recommending VIP passes?
If you can afford it, absolutely.
Meanwhile, Joel's behind the building looking in the dumpster being like, what do they got here?
Yeah. Oh, Fanex. Fanex is such a great convention, and not just because it's local. I'm a
Not a
little
sponsor.
biased there. Yeah, not a sponsor. But they have the size of a huge convention, but they are priced like a small convention, relatively speaking.
Okay.
Fanex is it's probably the best bang for your buck
We should
that
probably
I've
clarify.
ever been
It's
to.
Fan X. meaning-
Fan X,
Yeah, it's
yes.
like the letter X after the word fan.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yep,
thanks.
thanks.
Like Fast X, but not.
Exactly. But yeah, really, honestly, I think just pound for pound, Fanex is the best value of a convention I've ever been to.
Okay.
They're big enough that they pull really big celebrities. They have a lot of good vendors. They have a lot of fun, interesting panels, but it's priced like it's a little con. It's really, really wonderful. So, for example, the VIP at MegaCon, $550. Oh, the VIP, the Jedi Master for Star Wars Celebration is $1,000.
Oh. It's pretty cheap to buy your way into the Jedi Council, Joel.
Oh, Anakin couldn't do
$1,000?
it.
FanX's VIP is only $330. At least this is the early bird price right now, but so it goes up just a little bit, but it's not very much more than that.
Yeah, like a third of the price.
Yeah, and their mid level, which is what I usually get, is like I think we got it at like the very first showing, so it was like 125 or 120. Right now it's 130, and that's the early bird special. It goes up to like 150.
Okay,
but it's such a good value, and then Fanex, like the little mid-level pass, that gets you in the door early with the VIP people, but you're just in like the peasant line when you get into like a celebrity autograph line or something like that.
Yeah.
So still a really good value, but Fanex is really like, even if you're out of state, Salt Lake's easy to get to, and Fanex is a great convention to go to.
If you're into the
Really,
pop
really
culture, I almost said podcast convention.
parking's not super great. But
Parking is not super great, but that actually kind of leads into the next thing that I was going to talk to. So good segue.
Hey, there we go. SegWayCon.
SegWayCon.
Travel, planes, trains, and automobiles, right? You might have to fly. Flying is obviously more expensive than driving to a
Sure.
con, but it saves you time. So just, your mileage may vary. You'll have to just kind of look at where you're at, what convention you want to go to, and then book accordingly. But the trains part of that joke is kind of true. If you can, especially in Salt Lake, right,
Yeah.
for Fanex, if you can get a hotel not right by the convention center and then ride tracks down
they
to
have
the
a
convention
free
center.
zone.
And they've got a track stop right in front of the convention center.
Trax is Utah, specifically Salt Lake City's
Public transit.
light rail.
Yeah, light
Yes.
rail. So something like
Which that was one of the funnest things when we went to Comic-Con or to FanX was just getting on a train or at light rail with a bunch of people in costumes. It would just be like,
Yep.
the heck?
Yeah, it's a little... when the convention's in town.
Yeah.
It's not hard to to notice that.
So even though it'd be nice to stay in a hotel nearby, you're paying
Right.
extra for it.
Which leads me to my next one, hotels and lodging. For the best convention experience, obviously, getting a hotel right next to the convention center is the way to do it. It is so convenient. It's so nice just in the middle of the day to be like, we're tired. Let's go drop all this stuff off that we bought in the hotel and rest for a minute, and then we'll come back to the con.
It's basically Disneyland for sci-fi nerds.
Kind of, yeah.
You just got to go take a break for a bit and come back.
And then at the end of the day, you're just right there. You don't have to drive home or ride public transit back to your car and then drive or whatever. Like, you can just go to the hotel and be done. So FanX happens right around my anniversary. So my wife and I go to FanX every year for our anniversary.
So your wife is into this as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she is. I married, fortunately, a very nerdy person.
You chose wisely.
I did. I really did. Yeah, I told her, like, on our first date, I'm like, I'm a big nerd. And she's like, so am I. And I was like, oh, well.
Are there ever discounts at hotels because of conventions?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
most conventions will have a handful, like 2 to 4 hotels that they kind of partner with. And they're like, if you click like our link on our website to the hotel, it brings up like this special deal and it's, special rate or whatever. Check whatever convention you want to go to, check and see if there is some kind of deal.
Okay.
Just look around and see what there is. I mean, this is no different than any other trip. Just do your shopping for
personal
hotels.
question, Kyler. So if you were to so you budget out a convention,
Yes.
right? You budget this trip and you save a little bit of money on the hotel. Do you then save that money for yourself and put it in the bank account, or do you buy merch with it?
No.
You personally.
Me personally, no. It's if I can save money, then that's more money for spending at the con.
Yeah, that's what I
That's
thought.
more fun
okay,
money.
Yeah, that makes
for
sense.
sure.
Okay.
100% it's fun money. Because I already set the budget. So,
Kyler math.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically free.
Yeah, it's basically free. Exactly. So packing. Joel, I think, brought that up earlier.
Yes.
This is where I got my wife's input on the notes, because I was like, you do all of the packing for these trips.
Super responsible.
Come over here.
Amazing.
I am. Well, that's the nice thing about having, like, it's so great to be able to go with a friend or like your spouse or something, because then you just have another person there to like kind of share the burden of planning and packing and and it's just more fun anyway.
Have you gone by yourself?
I went to Star Wars Celebration by myself, and it was really fun, but I spent the entire convention going, oh, my wife would really love this. Oh, my kids would love this.
Is it like going to Hawaii and then trying to share the memory with somebody? You're like, remember when... Oh, there's no one here.
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of video calling back home because it was in Anaheim.
Right.
And so like I was calling home like in video and being like, look at this cool thing that's fuzzy. I wish you were here. And taking lots of pictures and sending it home.
Okay,
and,
so you're with her. You're with someone.
Yeah.
It's good to go with somebody.
Absolutely.
Help share the load. Mm-hmm. What are you packing?
The first thing that I wrote, and then my wife confirmed that was in fact the correct thing to list first, is make a physical checklist of things you need to take.
Okay.
So you're thinking about beforehand, okay, I'm going to be gone 3 days. I need to pack, this many changes of socks and this many shirts or whatever. What shirts am I going to take?
But there's an extra element because if you get dressed up, you got to pack all the costumes.
Right. So,
and you got to also make sure your costume is not done, and you got to finish it when you're in the hotel.
I've done that before. It's not ideal. Well, I should say my wife has done that before, and it's not
Bring the glue,
ideal.
bring the thread.
Yeah, that's one of the items on here. So make a physical checklist, check it at least twice, and then my wife came over and and then my wife said, actually, you need to make 2 checklists, one for going to the convention and one for coming home, so you don't forget anything. Pack extras of everything.
Okay.
You want a safe storage. If you're going to cosplay, you want to make sure any delicate items you have, like my wife cosplays a lot of Critical Role characters. Mm-hmm. Anybody who listened to the D&D episode, you know what I'm talking about. And one of the characters she cosplays has like these antlers.
Yes.
But they're 3D printed, so they don't weigh 1,000,000 pounds, and they're pretty delicate. So we have like their own like bespoke box that they go in to keep them safe and from being crushed and broken.
Yeah.
So if you have
antler box,
yes, yeah. So if you have anything like delicate like that, or like if you are bringing like a photo that you want signed, bring something to protect it, because you presumably paid for the photo and you're going to pay a lot for the autograph. You want to take care of it.
Yeah.
Then a cosplay emergency kit that has the needle and thread, that has extra parts of your cosplay that you have found have broken or fallen off lots of times before, or the hot glue gun or whatever, right? Just your emergency kit there.
Is cosplay a required element?
No, not at all. Only if you're a hardcore nerd like my wife.
One thing I was going to say, just real quick, like I love seeing the costumes, but one of the years my brother went, my oldest brother went, and he's a little shy, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he has this Jack Skellington outfit that he wears for Halloween. And he put that on, and it was like he was a different person.
Yes.
He was walking around. People were taking pictures with him.
Really?
He was thrilled about it.
It is,
and it was so fun for him that I was like, man, maybe costume's the way to go.
It's a weird release of inhibitions when that happens. I mean, because you really do kind of put on a character, and it's almost like people aren't talking to you, they're talking to the character, so you don't have to feel embarrassed or awkward because, well, you're just Jack Skellington.
Yeah.
So it...
Like one year I was Lilo and Stitch?
Lilo
from Fifth Element. It's revealing, but you know what? I was in the moment.
No.
I'm here for it.
Don't want mental images in my head.
Wait, the bandage look or the weird orange suspenders look?
Porque no los dos.
So my other packing tip was to roll your clothes. It saves space. And then my wife peeked over my shoulder again. She's like, no. Vacuum seal your clothes. That's what I did.
This is just vacation planning.
It's just vacation planning.
With the extra element of like with an antler box.
For a convention, bring an extra suitcase for your con purchases.
How much are you buying?
Welcome to Baconsale.
It depends. It depends on the con. Depends on what you want to spend.
Okay, I love it.
How many times? Hey, how many times have you said that?
So
I've got marked down here 14.
Cosplay. My wife. I said, any advice for like those that want to cosplay? My wife said, really, really, really plan ahead what your cosplay is going to be because it takes a long time to just manufacture the cosplay.
Yeah.
So
I do see sometimes people walking around in costumes, and my first thought is, how do they go to the bathroom in that thing?
Yeah.
yes,
You got to plan for that.
you hold it for a long time until you can't anymore, and then you unload all of your stuff onto your husband, and he waits outside the bathroom while you go.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Oh.
So I have here, if you can hear it, my wife's Keyleth level 20 mantle, her cape that she wears when she's the voice of the Tempest. It's got over 5,000 leaves on it that she hand pinned.
It's impressive looking.
And she organized it by color so it fades properly from like brightest to darkest down to the hem, and then
Green Lantern.
lined it and all the stuff. She worked on it every single day for about 4 hours when the kids would go to bed at 8 till about midnight or sometimes later every day for 6 months. Just on the cloak, not the rest of the
preparation
costume.
for a convention.
In preparation for a convention.
Okay.
Yeah. She started in February and literally finished it the night before the convention in Indiana.
I hope she received the praise she deserved.
She did. Everybody loved it. So that's kind of like your pre-convention prep.
Kind of, we've prepared for a while for the con. I have vacuum sealed all my bags. I haven't brought
You've
any
got your antlers
I
in a
haven't
box.
brought any water, apparently. But we're at the convention. I want to talk about like rules, some etiquette, just how to behave, and also expectations for like lines, for saving money, for spending money, and celebrities.
Yeah.
And where do you want to start with that?
I would say generally one of the best pieces of advice that I got, and I kind of knew this going into it because I'd been to other conventions, but they reiterated it when I went to Star Wars Celebration. I was in a Star Wars Celebration Discord, and everybody reiterated the very sound advice, which is you have to get it in your head. You are not going to be able to do everything. Completely
even
set
in
that
3
aside.
daes?
Oh, not even a chance.
There's so much going on.
Not even a chance. No. So anytime
Think
you go
of how
to a
many
convention,
Power Rangers there are. You can't meet all the Power Rangers.
Yeah. So for whatever convention you go to, just accept the fact going into it that you're not going to be able to see and do everything that's there. You just
Like
can't
there may
do
be 2 panels you want to see at the same time, for example.
it. That happens.
Okay.
But there's so much to do. You can never do everything. So just what I did when I went to Star Wars Celebration is I said, okay, I'm going to pick one panel per day that I want to really, really, really try to get into.
Okay.
And then I have a backup panel that if I don't get into the one I really want to get into, I'll go to that one instead.
Now, when you say try to get into, we should probably clarify. There's usually a line to wait and get to this big room.
Yeah.
And people wait in line for a long time.
Yep.
And sometimes they don't
And
get
then
in.
they don't get in
It
anyway.
gets too full and they're like, sorry.
Correct. So most of the time you can get in. Most of the time. The really, really, really big ones like Star Wars Celebration, San Diego Comic-Con, you're not guaranteed in any way to be able to get in. In fact, at Star Wars Celebration, again, like I mentioned earlier, the Lucasfilm Studio Showcase, that's where Lucasfilm announces its new Star Wars projects. And, well, anything Lucasfilm, actually. They announced Indiana Jones, too, while I was there.
Yeah, it's just Star Wars now.
Yep, just Star
Right,
Wars.
it's all Star Wars.
Everybody, of course, wants to be in that panel because that's the panel of the convention. So what they did is before the convention even started, this was in 2022, they sent out an email and you selected, like, I want to be put in the lottery for this panel.
So essentially it comes down to scheduling.
Yeah. And so then if you don't win
Yeah.
the lottery, then there's the standby line.
Sure.
And that line is hours and hours long. Like basically the building will open at like 5 or 6 in the morning and you get in line for the panel that's at 10 o'clock
So
or 11.
But that sounds like wasting your time. If you're sitting there waiting in line getting a panel, you don't even know if you're going to get in or not.
It also sounds like you have to be okay with waiting.
You have to be okay with waiting.
Right.
It's not necessarily a waste of time because you make your line buddies. this is an important aspect of conventions. You have line buddies. Oh yeah. Yeah, you just start talking with the other people that are also there wasting their time in line.
Kyler,
and
hate
you make
people.
friends.
I know. Are the worst.
Can't you do this so that you can use them later in the con?
What?
It's totally mercenary.
What do you mean? Yeah. Are they sharing granola bars with me? That's all I care about.
They might give you free things. Some people have handouts or like giveaways, stuff
I
that
do
they've
like
brought
people
to
if
the
I
convention.
can use them. So,
for example,
just being honest,
ladies.
For example,
oh wow, it's okay when you say it.
Yeah.
So, for example, at Star Wars Celebration, in the Discord beforehand, a bunch of us were like, "Oh, we're flying." Like somebody mentioned, "Oh, I'm flying into LAX. Like at this time, my plane lands," and I realized, "Oh, we're going to be like on the same flight."
Okay.
And I've got a car. Does anybody like want to I've rented a car. Does anybody want to share a ride to their hotel with me? And then you can save some money on an Uber. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do that. And me and this other guy, this girl had rented a car, and me and this other guy joined her because all of our hotels were kind of in the same area.
Right.
And that guy and I, all three of us actually kind of had become friends on like the half an hour ride to the hotel from LAX. That guy and I were in the same line later on. And because we had already kind of met and kind of hung out and made friends, just talked and got to know each other better while we were in line, he actually invited me to a panel that I didn't win the lottery on that I wanted to go to, but he had a +1 ticket. So he's like, hey, you've been my friend. You've made because I'm here by myself also, and you've been my friend and you've kind of made it a better experience. So do you want to be my +1 to this panel that you didn't get into?
People
and so then we went
now.
and hung out. Yeah.
It's a con rom-com.
It was totally awesome. So
that's cute.
There's advantages to making friends. So also like at FanX, there's this one guy. I don't know his name. I don't know where he's from. We always, every single year, we end up waiting in the exact same line to get in the building at the beginning of the day. And we're like, I feel like Ron Swanson. It's like we still never talk sometimes. I don't know his name.
Never had, yeah.
Yeah. But like, he's my con buddy. We recognize each other at this point. And he's like, oh, hey, how are you guys doing? Like, how's your year been? So that's like waiting in lines, make friends. You never know, what might come of it. And it never hurts to be nice. It's better than being a jerk in line.
Sure.
So
what if that's your cosplay though? I'm cosplaying as a jerk.
Then people will love it.
I'm cosplaying as Kent Dunn.
Really hates these cans.
You can use people.
Good reference.
Hey.
In panels, sometimes this is just aside from the general etiquette of like wear deodorant so you don't gas people that you're sitting next to.
You say that, but
you should do it.
Say that.
Not everybody does, but you should do it.
It is not a common thing.
Do you think there should be like
it is. So it's
those water
not
misters?
as common as the stereotype would have it be.
I don't like that thought.
those water misters? Should they have like Axe body spray?
Please, that's fair. That's fair.
That would be awesome.
Febreze. As a normie,
Yes.
I'm watching a panel, and there's generally in a panel, you're sitting there and there's a couple thousand people or maybe a couple hundred people, and you're watching someone interview a celebrity. They talk for about 20, 25 minutes, and they say, hey, we're going to open up the time for Q&A.
Oh, this is one of the worst things. If you're not one of like the first 10 people, don't waste your time. Go sit back down.
Okay, well, maybe they could get through more if people actually had one question.
If they have one question and if people don't ask the same question about 14 times.
Yeah.
Also, as an audience member, I don't want to hear, this is actually more of a comment than a question.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Like everyone groans. Or if someone says, hey, I have a podcast. It's a pop culture podcast called Baconsale, everybody. We talk about Star Wars sometimes, but anyways, here's my question. Like, nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah, so just get to your question. Just say, introduce yourself. Hey, I'm Kyler, blah, blah, whatever your question is.
Should you
just
say,
okay,
hold on. If you got up there and there was someone you really liked, would you say, I'm Kyler, big fan?
I wouldn't even introduce myself. I would just cut right to the question because I don't want the audience to hate me and I don't want them to hate me. And I guarantee you,
I'm Joel. Can I have a lightsaber?
Yeah, for real. It's the worst when people get up there and they ramble. And if somebody has already asked your question or a version of your question, please sit down.
Okay.
We don't want to hear the same question 6 times, and it happens every time.
Also, if you're sitting in a panel and you're wearing cosplay, maybe take off like a hat or like something
so it's
really
not
tall.
always practical. Like sometimes stuff is like pinned in or like it's like the linchpin to the thing. And like if you take it off, like the rest of it comes like.
Sure.
But if you're cosplaying as Raiden, you can take off the hat.
Yeah. Like if you can, remove stuff. Okay, sure. As a courtesy to others, I guess, like try to sit on the side. You could do that.
If you're dressed as Slender Man, just stand in the corner.
Just stand in the corner. You'll be fine.
Ooh, creepy.
Yeah.
The whole panel.
Am I the only one that can see him?
Yes.
But yeah, that's kind of it for panels. I mean, panels are a fun part of the convention. I need to start going to more panels.
I've
If
also
you say panels, it's mostly just like interviews with celebrities.
Yeah, because then, like, depending on, like, I mean, obviously you go to panels that have people that you are interested in there. So I usually only go to Star Wars panels.
I treat them like movies.
So you were in a panel, Kent, once.
Yeah, I was in a couple of panels.
But it's fun to get behind the scenes stories. Sometimes celebrities will share little behind the scenes
And
things
it's
that
great.
you're not going to find on a behind the scenes part of a DVD.
I think panel rule should be, if you're watching a panel, you should treat it like a movie.
Yes.
You can bring your phone out unless it's really dark, but don't have side conversations because someone's here to listen to the celebrity talk.
Yeah.
One of the highlights of my life, Joel is directly involved in, and this was back
Was it
in
the birth
2013.
of your child? When I delivered your child there?
Yes, indeed. He's a midwife, everyone.
Call me.
I did a couple panels my first couple of years, and the last one we did is the last hour, and that was back when they were Salt Lake Comic Con, and we went, and it was the future of superhero movies. And
I'm trying to remember what highlight involved me there.
it was just the whole thing because we walk in and there's this room of maybe 300 people. I don't want to over embellish, but it felt like a lot of people.
About 7 people, but yes, go
Yeah,
ahead.
7. It was thousands. Okay. And anyways, I go up there and I'm up on the stand or whatever, and no one else is up there. There's supposed to be 3 other guys up there talking about the future of comic books. And I'm like, oh no, it's me, the lowly movie critic from Salt Lake. How am I going to run this panel? And I'm like, Joel, help.
Oh, yeah. I remember
And
this.
Joel's like, no one's here. I'm like, no one's here. And I'm like, I need you to help get the audience engaged because it's just me and I'm freaking out. And he goes, okay, like basically I got this. So I'm like, hey everyone, this is Joel. He's my assistant. And Joel's like, hey everyone. Like, and we talked about like, we're going to make your Comic-Con dreams come true. And we brought up 5 other people.
Yeah, about that.
To
that kind
do
of
with
stuff
us.
is awesome.
And it was just so cool because the audience engagement was there, an engaged panel, and that
Except
wasn't
for
a
the guy
celebrity
who thought
one.
Wonder Woman was Marvel.
Oh, he went in the penalty box.
He did. We put him in the penalty box.
But it
for
was
that.
so fun because you had these people of like minds that want to talk about geeky stuff, and they were able to be part of a panel when they didn't think they'd be able to. And it was
Yeah.
honestly
That was
just such
fun.
a cool
Yeah.
moment.
That was fun.
It's cool. Like I've
Ken
been to a
didn't let me
panel-
behind the table, but it was fun to be in the front. It was fun to be in the front running the microphone to others.
You were Vanna White.
I was.
Yeah, I've done that before. Like a panel that I always try to go to it used to be FFG, Fantasy Flight Games. Now it's Atomic Mass Games, but they're the company that makes my Star Wars games. And so when they do a panel at a convention, I try to go because they're going to tell me new stuff. And like they'll often do giveaways where they'll be like, oh, like we're going to do like a trivia, and they'll ask like random weird rules questions about their games. And like, if you can get it right, then they'll give you like an expansion for one of their games. They'll give you a unit, they'll give you a box of Stormtroopers or something, and that's kind of cool. Like they gave away a Super Star Destroyer for Armada at Star Wars Celebration. I was real jealous. I mean, I have 2 already, but I wanted a 3rd.
Okay, so let's leave the panels real quick. The first thing I do when I get to a convention, and I think maybe everyone should do, unless you're trying to get there for a panel, is walk the floor.
Yeah.
And
walking the floor is so
you
fun.
get to a floor, and maybe this also involves spending money, which you like to do. Joel doesn't so much. But when
like
you
to
get
look.
to
Joel likes to have less fun at his conventions.
you may
I get enjoyment through my eyes, not my wallet.
you may see something and you're like, oh, that I'm going to buy that. I wouldn't buy it quite yet. I would walk the whole floor first, make sure there's cooler merch, or maybe it's cheaper somewhere else. Maybe it's better fan art or something.
Depends on what it is.
Yeah.
It is the geekiest flea market I've ever seen.
It is.
Totally.
That's exactly what it is. It's a flea market. That's a perfect
so much
description.
anime.
Yeah, there's a lot of anime.
Ugh, yeah, gross. Anyway,
It's okay sometimes.
Ken's position is so much softened on this.
I'm an anime fan now.
I hate anime. It's like
Don't call me
visual
weeb.
nails on a chalkboard for me. Every time I see it, I'm like, where's a rusty spoon for me to gouge my eyes out?
Okay, so you're walking the floor. I think it's important to wear comfortable shoes. That's kind of like
for sure.
That's like wearing deodorant, right?
That's one of my wife's, like, I just had like a miscellaneous section, and she said, wear sensible shoes even while wearing cosplay. Wait, no, especially while wearing cosplay.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, especially if they can't see your feet. Be
Yep.
comfy.
Also, keep it moving. One of my pet peeves, well,
You
everyone's
stop
pet
in the
peeve,
middle of the aisle.
Totally.
Ugh, it's the worst.
right?
But that's just general etiquette. When people stop in the middle of a walkway, I'm like, why?
Yeah. Go move to the sides.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah, like-
the aisles are wide enough
If you're going to
for
look at a
people
booth,
to stop.
like
So-
get as close to the booth as possible.
And if you don't want to look at the booth, but you just need to stop, then turn your back to the booth, but still get to the edge of the.
Okay.
Like put your back up against the booth and leave the main aisle clear for
Yeah.
people to walk.
Okay, and one of the cool things about walking the floor is people watching.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And that's what conventions are for,
So
right?
fun.
I think people watching is great. People mocking, not so much.
Well, it's kind of fun.
I know it's fun, but you can't like point and go.
No, you
what
don't
a
point
horrible attempt at that costume.
Oh
right?
no! I never mock anybody's attempt at cosplay.
Right.
I never do that. I mean, because they put effort in.
You
it
just mock them as
and
people.
exactly.
Your costume's great. You're ugly.
Exactly. No, because like you never know. Like my wife's first cosplay was pretty good, but we look at it now compared to where she like her first cosplay compared to her like more recent cosplays. And it's like, well, pat you on the head. You did good.
Sure.
So I would never do that. Like you put effort into it. That's
because someone is putting themselves
Yeah,
out there.
exactly.
And honestly, maybe we don't have the biggest extroverts at a convention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're going out of their way to dress up. And so, I don't know, maybe just be like, that's a really cool costume. Maybe even congratulate them, compliment them.
Oh, that's just it. Like my compliments flow freely on the floor when I'm like, love that costume.
Yes,
that looks
absolutely.
awesome.
And that's kind of why they do. Like that's part of why they do the cosplays. Like you want recognition of your work.
Yeah, especially when they know who you are.
Yes, and my wife loves it when people come up and like, oh my gosh, Keyleth, and then she'll be like, oh yes, here it is.
Yeah, I was like, Slave Leia, great job.
Yeah.
Slave Leia, great
Especially when
job.
it's like a fat hairy dude. Which I've seen a lot.
Dude, sweet.
Yeah. But shopping, it is a good idea to walk the whole floor. If you see something you really, really like, I recommend getting it right then because it may be gone when you come back later.
There was a fan poster of How to Train Your Dragon, and I was like, that's really cool. I'm coming back. Totally sold out.
Yep. I've missed a lot of things that I kicked myself over for that. But you can get better deals if you wait till the last day of a convention. If you wait till
you can negotiate?
Oh, yes.
Go
yes,
on.
you can. So the last day of a convention, the vendors would prefer to go home with nothing, right? They would prefer to sell out of whatever they brought.
Okay.
And if you wait till the last couple hours, most vendors are willing to make a deal.
So can't
and
wait
give
till the last
some
day to buy that
additional
Slave Leia
discount.
costume. That's
But you run the
that guy.
risk of what you really want already being sold out.
Okay.
So it's that trade off. But I've
I'll
found
take
some
it. For a
really
deal,
great
I'll take
deals.
it.
I've found some really great deals doing that. So some of the art that I have, actually, those watercolored ones that I showed you, those were a last minute like, oh well, maybe if throw a couple bucks off of this, then maybe I'll get it.
Let's say it's a comic convention. What kind of stuff is usually for sale on the floor?
Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. 3D printing is overtaking everything right now. So it used to be there would be one or two people that had 3D printed like minifigures for D&D or whatever. Now it's like every third booth is 3D.
because filament is cheap.
Yep. And it's often not, well, at least at FanX the last couple of years, I'm like, some of you need to stop doing this. There's clothing. Almost always there's going to be some kind of leather work booth that's selling like fantasy armor.
Nice.
There will
Why'd you say it like that?
There's always at
loves
every
leather.
convention there's a huge section of the floor devoted just to artists that are
Yeah,
selling
very
like
cool.
custom posters and little art prints and things like that. Always there's going to be t-shirts, hats, that kind of a thing. A lot of conventions will have lightsabers for sale.
It's weird at PrepperCon. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, it's really, especially because they were functional. Usually you can find games, like obviously like Gen Con is game focused, so there's a ton of games there. There's not as many games for sale at FanX.
So it sounds like if you have a fandom, there's something to buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And,
again,
and lightsabers.
and again, like if you go, like if like comics are really your thing, you go to San Diego Comic Con, that's going to have a lot more of things that you're interested in. Like, so when I went to Star Wars Celebration, I was like, oh, every vendor is something that I'm interested in. This is going to be a problem for my wallet,
Yeah.
Whereas FanX, it's kind of fun because I'm like, okay, let's hunt down the Star Wars stuff. Where's the little Star Wars nuggets hidden around here? But yeah, that's shopping. Spend a lot. Go. It's more fun if you have. I'm not saying like be irresponsible with your money, but conventions are a lot more fun if you go in with a decent budget where you can kind of be like, that is cool. I think I'm going to get that.
I should clarify. There's a difference between like regular Joel and vacation Joel. Regular Joel is very, frugal, but there's vacation Joel. We're like, we're on vacation.
Yeah. See, and I use.
How do I hang out with Vacation Joel?
Can we go on vacation just to prove this?
We're trying to prove it soon, I hope.
Okay.
So when I go to Gen Con,
Zach, we'll see.
Gen Con is the first weekend in August, and then FanX is the last weekend in September. I use those two conventions for a lot of Christmas shopping because I can get games
idea.
that you can't get anywhere else, and like really rare games that like people are still developing and stuff, and be like, hey, like last year I got like this weird, really, really unusual dungeon crawling, treasure gathering kind of game. And I'm like, I'm not really into this, but I've got a friend who loves weird games like this. He would love it. So I bought it and just saved it for Christmas.
You're a good friend.
So
Okay, so I need to go back to the elephant in the room.
Uh-oh.
The
My name
cosplay.
is
Elephant Con?
Zachary.
The elephant, we already brought up my weight once. Ken.
No, yeah, it's the Slave Leia guy. No, the cosplayers. I call this the elephant in the room because, you go around and there's a lot of scantily clad women that dress in cosplay. And every single convention now has rules. Essentially, you go to their website and it's all about how to be polite. Cosplay is
Yeah.
not consent. I do think we need to address this a little bit because it is part of every convention.
Well, I mean, just from what I found, like what kind of referencing what I said earlier, people get up in cosplay because they want to show it off. So taking a picture of someone, like if you just snap it with your phone as they walk by, go for it. That's fine. But if you're going to take some of their time, you probably should obey some etiquette.
Yeah. So my wife cosplays, so I'm more knowledgeable in this area than I ever thought I would be. A lot of cosplayers will have what's called a handler,
Okay.
that's my job. My wife is cosplaying. I'm her handler. I'm there to hold her crap and to like.
Or if someone's like, hey, can I get a picture with you?
Or can I get a picture? Yeah, I'm happy to take the picture, and I take their phone.
Have
and
you
take
ever
the
had
picture.
someone get a picture with her and they put their arm around her?
Usually other women,
Okay.
not as so.
I feel like it's best to be
Yeah,
safe,
so the
right? Just kind of
etiquette-
stand there.
Yeah, so the etiquette is
Yeah, no touching, just
generally
look awkward.
Right.
let the
Yes.
cosplayer kind of set the tone.
Okay.
If the cosplayer kind of like leans in or like gets in a fun like if they get in a pose, you get in a pose. If they kind of like lean in, if they put their arm around you, you can put your arm around them, or you kind of just let the cosplayer set the tone.
Okay.
Really.
Okay.
And it will vary based on the person.
Yeah. Don't make rude or lewd comments to people.
Yeah,
Even if
I
they're
mean-
dressed as a character that would appreciate that in the show, that's not the character.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, don't be creepy. Don't be gross.
Yeah.
And just generally don't be Deadpool. Stop going to cons as Deadpool.
Yeah, it's
There's
played
a
out.
lot of Deadpool. Yeah.
Deadpool and
kinda
lightsabers.
old. If you can have a handler, your spouse, a friend, or somebody that can hold like your purse, or like, because my wife will be like holding bags of stuff that she's bought, and then somebody wants to get a picture. You don't want your character like holding like, this is my Fanex bag full of Fanex stuff.
Yeah.
So then it's easy to just hand that off to your handler while they take the picture. Or like, again, like I mentioned earlier, when my wife has to go to the bathroom, she's like, here, I have to like halfway disrobe, so hold half of my costume while I go to the bathroom.
Sure. And then you put it on and get pictures with everybody. I know.
exactly.
I get it.
Another thing I just want to bring up real quick is like weapons, because you can bring some types.
Yes.
But they have safety precautions set in place. So for
Correct.
example, they'll put like a zip tie on the sword so
To
it
show
can't come
that
out
it's
of the
been
scabbard.
checked out. Oh, yeah. Or like other weapons, like my wife's staff that she has for Keyleth, even though it's like obviously made of the flimsiest plastic known to man, they still have to put the little zip tie on it to show that like we've checked this out, we know it's safe.
So when you come in,
know.
security will give it a quick
Yeah,
check.
exactly.
If you have any sort of like guns, they'll check, make sure that they can't fire anything, and then they'll
So
put a
I
tag on it
can't
saying
bring
it's safe.
Sting
And most of
if
the
I dress
time,
as Frodo?
You probably could, but you have to keep it in the scabbard.
yeah, and then they would have to like zip tie.
How am
the
I going to know if
scabbard
there's
shut.
orcs?
Yeah.
It'll glow.
One thing that's really cool too is most of the time, like the event staff are pretty cool, and so like we asked them, we're like, hey, can you, instead of putting the zip tie like right by my wife's hand where she's going to hold it and it's going to be in every picture, can we put it on the bottom of the staff where it's less noticeable? And they were like, oh, absolutely. And so that was, so ask for that at your convention. Sometimes they may do like on like guns and stuff. Usually they want it to be pretty prominent so that everybody will know. Like,
and that's the thing is they want everyone to feel safe there.
yeah.
So,
But sometimes,
it does take a little away from the ambiance of the costume, but at the same time, it's just to make everyone else feel
and
good.
usually like it's just a little zip tie, so it's not that noticeable.
I just know that some
usually.
people got bugged, like, oh, you
Yeah.
gotta put a tag on my gun?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, go for it.
Utah.
Gun show.
Competing, my wife said if you want to do any of the competitions, because a lot of these
Love like a parade or a costume competition.
yeah, a lot of these will have cosplay competitions. Star Wars Celebration does, Gen Con does, FanX does, San Diego Comic Con does. Check beforehand what the requirements are, because every con's a little bit different on what they require. Some cons require you to
Are you saying it depends on the con?
It does. It depends on the con. Sprite. So, like, some of them will require you to take photos along the way to prove that you actually made the cosplay and didn't just purchase it.
Whoa.
So just check it.
Okay.
Check what the requirements are for your con, and then make sure that you like have everything submitted on time and whatever.
Okay. Do you mind if we move on to
Sure.
the celebrity row?
Absolutely. So this is my favorite thing to do at FanX. As mentioned, I have a bunch of Star Wars art. I like to get it signed by the relevant characters.
How much do you bring? Like, if you were to meet someone from a Star Wars show or artist or author, I heard you shouldn't bring more than 5 things for them to sign.
5
because people,
Yeah.
people are waiting in line, and also it's kind of rude.
That's a lot of things to sign.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
But some people bring a lot
Like
more.
1 or 2 probably
1 or 2,
at most
okay.
is what I would recommend because
We met Kate Beckinsale. We bought
Yeah.
a picture and she signed it. And then we kind of just left it there. We did talk to her about the shirt we made for her.
We did make her a shirt, yes.
But we also try not to take too much time because we were also nervous.
it also depends on the celebrity.
Okay.
So bigger celebrities,
Much like the con.
much like the con, it depends. So more popular, more famous celebrities like Kate Beckinsale, they're going to have a ton of people in line, and her handlers are going to want to move that line as
it's
quickly
funny.
as possible.
They did try to move us along, but she spent some time with
Yes,
us.
and that's how you know the celebrities that are cool versus the ones that are not.
Yeah.
Unless you do the photo op, which, by the way, real quick, sorry, this is a whole nother section. We'll get back to Celebrity Row. Photo ops, be ready, right? You paid your money, and they're going to say, okay, you ready?
Oh no, I count this as part of celebrities.
Okay.
Doing the photo ops. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
part of it.
for us, my 2 experiences, I met Alexander Daddario and Kate Beckinsale. And
You have a type.
hey, look, I'm not complaining. Anyways, they say, and I was all excited. I'm like, we're going to see Kate again. It's going to be great. And we did. We walked up and she goes, hey, it's my posse.
Yep.
And we're like, oh, that's so cool. She remembered us. And then she stood there and we stood there and they got a picture and said, bye. Like
Yeah.
that
Wow.
fast.
Yeah.
Don't imagine you're going to be spending quality time
No.
with them. Like maybe get the
There
signature.
are a couple who will.
Sure. But maybe anticipate that the signature or maybe a selfie
Yeah.
will be more quality time with a celebrity.
Also,
Yep.
please be aware, you can a lot of times in the celebrity role, you can walk up and talk to a celebrity and walk away, no charge whatsoever. But if you want a signature or a photo, sometimes they'll charge you more for
Yes.
that.
Well, and again, it depends. So like Andy Serkis, it was like there's like 18 million people in line for Andy Serkis last year at FanX. That line has got to be moving. So there was no like going up to his table and talking to him.
Okay.
It was like, have your item ready. We're going to slide it down the table. He's going to sign it. You're going to walk away. Like it was super, super fast.
Wow.
But he didn't do that with us because he's cool.
Okay. Good.
Oh, but the worst is when you walk by and no one's in line for a
Oh,
Yes.
celebrity.
Yeah.
So this is where it depends, right? So if it's a less popular celebrity, you could bring more stuff.
Okay.
And have a conversation. Like it's really a lot of fun actually to talk to the lesser known celebrities and like get to know they're really cool.
If there's no
So-
one in the line, a lot of times I just want to walk up and be like, hey, how's it going? I loved you in. Look over their shoulder. Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the celebrity. The bigger the celebrity, the less time you're going to have. That's the one exception to that I can think of off the top of my head, just because it's in my wheelhouse, is Ashley Eckstein, who voices Ahsoka Tano in
Clone Wars
and
Rebels.
Bad Batch,
Okay.
Rebels. She's awesome. Her line is always a million years long. She's one of the most popular celebrities at any convention she goes to, and she does not rush anybody. She will talk
That's
to you
why her
for as
line's so
long as you
long.
want. It is part of why her line is so long. But when you get there, it's so nice to have your time with her. I have I have 6 daughters, 2 of whom love to play what they call Soka-Mal. They watched me watch the last season of of Clone Wars where Ahsoka takes on Darth Maul. And they thought the lightsaber scene was really cool. And so then they play out lightsabers and they always fight over who gets to be Ahsoka. So the younger of those 2, Freya, she loves Ahsoka. We were like, okay, well, Ashley's coming back to FanX. This was 2021. We were like, Ashley's coming to FanX. We should totally bring the kids and have them meet her and they get to meet Ahsoka. So we went through the line and we get our time with Ashley, and she doesn't rush us, and it's wonderful. And she took a lot of extra time actually with us to like get down on her level and like dropped into the Ahsoka voice and starts talking with Freya and telling her how like she can be a good Jedi and all this kind of stuff. And she was just delightful.
Right.
And so then the next year, 2022, I go to Star Wars Celebration, and so FanX was in September, Star Wars Celebration's in May, and I'm there waiting to have Ashley sign another Ahsoka poster that I have. And as I'm waiting, I'm like, I wonder if she's going to remember me. Like, I'm not memorable in any way. And she meets, tens of thousands of fans,
Of course.
like all the time. Like, so I'm just a nobody, but I wonder, like, it'd be cool. And then I noticed that she has noticed me in line, and she kind of has like this sideways look, like kind of a little smile, like a knowing little smile. And I'm like, oh, no way. She's totally going to remember me. So I get up there and I'm like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. She's like, yeah, FanX in Salt Lake. And I'm like,
What?
Wow.
And I brought my daughter, and she's like, yeah, Freya. I
man.
totally remember.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, you're so cool. And so she like asked how
So
Freya
she's not
was.
just Ahsoka. She's a super Ahsoka.
She's so cool. Yes. How long you been sitting on that?
About 2 minutes.
That's really cool, though.
I told her, I was like, hey, come back to Utah. We love you. We're nothing but nerds in this state.
All right.
And we're totally forgotten all the time. Like, Utah's a nothing state. So like, please come back. And
Ouch.
She leaned across the table and she's like, listen, I love Utah. I really tried to get back for this year, for 2022, but there was just no way to make it work. But I have told my people to absolutely make it happen for 2023. So I'll be back then. So sure enough, true to her word, she came back in 2023. We get in line again. She sees us. She's like, hey, I know you guys. And then right when it's to our turn to get her autograph, it's time for her photo op.
Oh, so she has to leave.
And we have a photo op with her, and we're the next people in line.
Okay.
So we have to choose between photo op or get out of line. And she's like, wait, do you guys have a photo op with me? And we're like, yeah, we do. And she's like, so she climbs up on the table and she's like, hey, everybody, this family right here, they have a photo op with me. They're going to come right now to their photo op, and then they're going to get back in the front of the line. Okay, everybody? Like,
wow.
So then like we go and my daughter's all dressed up as Ahsoka and, you know, her
cool.
little Ahsoka costume and their lightsabers and everything. And like, she was just totally geeking out. Ashley was so cool. So then like we got to walk with Ashley and like her entourage over to the photos and then, you know, do the photo and then like walk back with her and
You're
stuff.
still
Like,
beaming right now.
yeah, it was. She's such a cool
great.
person. She's so cool. So she's one person that like is definitely worth the wait in line. If you like Star Wars, go. Ashley Eckstein is 100% worth the price. She's great.
If you like The Tick,
Yes.
I saw Patrick Warburton once upon a time, and that was a weird experience. And that's all.
Well, you gonna tell us about the experience?
I can't say it on Baconsale.
I want to hear after.
Baconsale After Dark.
Here's especially for voice actors, here's a piece of etiquette. Don't ask them to do a voice.
Oh,
If they
okay.
want to do a voice, they will drop into it on their own. Don't ask them to. I felt really bad at Star Wars Celebration because I kind of knew this was kind of the general etiquette, and there was this kid waiting to get D. Bradley Baker, who voices all of the clones, to sign, I think he's like Captain Rex helmet or something like that. And he's like, oh, I wonder if he'll do the voice. And I was like, don't, he won't do it. Like, I know specifically D. Bradley Baker will not do the voice. Like I've interacted with him before. He won't do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, don't do it, man. Just don't ask. He won't do it. I'm trying to save this kid from being embarrassed. And first thing he does, he's like 12. First thing he does, hey, can you like do the voice? And he's like, no, I don't do voices. I'm like,
The voice.
shoot. So that, I mean, that's just good etiquette anyway. Like,
And I think the overarching thing is just it's be polite. As I mean, we're consumers, we're attendees.
They're people too. This isn't a dance monkey dance situation.
Yes.
I once helped Zachary Levi try to fix his Bluetooth speaker while we were waiting in line.
wow.
They're
Really?
just regular people.
How have we not heard these stories?
Zach, you want to tell that one, or is it not appropriate for Baconsale?
No, really, that's all the story. It was, we're waiting for a signature in line, and everybody's around, and he's trying to play some music and get the vibe up, and he can't quite figure it out. I'm like, try pushing and holding that button. He's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you. And like we troubleshot it.
And he looked
Is
at
that
you
right?
and he's like, it's a mirror.
Yeah. And then I
Right.
got there and I was like, hi, you were on Broadway. That was cool. I tried to be,
not Chuck.
I helped you with your Bluetooth.
I tried to be the guy who's like, I really liked you in the most obscure thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people are like, nice. And other times they're like, suck up.
So another piece of etiquette for celebrity like autograph lines and stuff. Celebrities seem to universally treat the times that they should be at their booth signing as the most gentle of suggestions rather than hard and fast rules. Please be kind to the event staff that are their handlers.
Yes,
they have zero control over the celebrities.
And most of them are volunteers.
Most of them are volunteers. Their job is to sit at the table when the person is supposed to be there and take your money and like hand your item to the celebrity to sign.
Okay.
They have no control over when or where the celebrity is. And often they don't know because the celebrity will have their own personal handler that's like walking them around and then coordinating with the event staff.
Sounds like they aren't
And so-
handling much at all.
Correct. That is
snap.
correct. So one time at Star Wars Celebration, I was waiting to have Michelle Ang, who voices Omega in the Bad Batch, the young girl clone, have her sign it. Like you had, and for that event, you had to like pre-purchase the like time slot at her table to have her sign it, and she just didn't show up all day. And like
Not cool.
Yeah, like no, and it was funny.
Never trust a clone.
Nobody knew where she was. The event staff had contacted her handlers, and her handlers didn't even know where she was at. D. Bradley Baker was at the table next, and he's like,
Did anyone check the Emperor Palpatine's letter?
I know, right? Yeah, D. Bradley Baker was like, we had dinner together last night. I know she's like here somewhere, but nobody knew where she was. She wasn't responding to phone calls or texts or anything.
She was waiting in line for Ashley Eckstein.
Yeah, probably. And so then, fortunately, they were really cool. And they're like, anybody that had like her autographs for today, we will honor them tomorrow. Come back. And then she was there. And then kind of a jerk move. Like she totally was just like, yeah, nothing happened. Like everything is normal. No apologies for not being there yesterday. Like kind of a not great. But anyway, so if the celebrities are late, I understand you're frustrated. I understand you want to get out of there and go to a panel, go to shopping. You're hungry or whatever. But like they don't have any control over where the celebrities are. So try to be patient. Autographs, photo shoots. Sometimes you have to pre-purchase them. Mm-hmm. But most of the time, if you're not pre-purchasing them, you have to bring cash. They only accept cash there. You can't do a card. So figure out how much your autographs are going to cost and bring that much cash.
What is this cash you speak of?
Yeah. So back in the old days, there was money that had ink on it, and we pretended it had value.
And now it's just ones and zeros.
Get in line early. Kind of plan your autographs. Like what I do is I plan like, okay, who's going to be the most popular celebrity that I'm going to have to wait in line the longest for?
Makes sense.
And I do them first.
Right.
And I try to get there like right at the beginning so that I'm spending less time in their line than I would if I came back at like 2 PM and got in their line.
So once again, scheduling.
Scheduling, yep.
Right.
You know who has a long line at Fan X that I'm surprised by? Jim Cummings, the voice of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
And Pete
yes.
the Cat.
And more
And
importantly-
Darkwing Duck.
And Hondo Onaka from Star Wars.
And Hondo.
Come on.
And
You know his voice.
and
If
the
you've heard
singing,
it, you
and
know
the
his
singing voice of Scar.
If
Be
you've
prepared.
seen
For half the
anything
song, yeah.
Disney in like the past 40 years, you've heard Jim Cummings.
Yeah.
Pete from
The other thing is,
Goofy
if you're
movie.
going to get a lot of autographs, like I do, I'll like at FanX, I usually get 10 or so.
Wow.
Spread them out across multiple days, so that you're not spending all day or like every minute of every day doing autographs. So I'll get like 2 per day, or two or three per day.
I'm going to throw a statement out, and I want to see if you agree. I think autographs are superior to photos. I think you get a longer and better interaction than it's just a quick.
Correct. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The photos are so fast. It's they. If you try to talk in a photo, you will bring down the wrath of the event staff.
No.
There is no talking at all.
I blinked in one. And so
Again, unless it's Ashley Eckstein, and then she's like, "Oh, Freya, you're so cute as Ahsoka," and like they're
Right.
like, "Ashley, please take the photo. We have people waiting."
A lot of them will let you kind of split the difference, and rather than pay, you can pay $40 for an autograph, or you can pay $40 for a selfie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, to me, that would actually be like, it's a good interaction, and you get a fun picture.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The autographs are way better. You can talk to them a little bit.
Yeah.
It's better.
Well, and you're also there. I feel like you're there for the interaction of maybe the person ahead of you as well. And so some celebrities will kind of include the immediate people.
Yes, a lot
And
of
then
them
you
will.
can have kind of a longer and better experience.
That reminds me of another good etiquette point. If somebody they have finally made it to the front of the line, they're talking with the celebrity, shut up.
It's their time.
It's their time.
Okay.
100%.
You will have your time in just a
their
few
time up
seconds.
there.
So just shut up and don't. Like, unless, again, like Zach said, unless a celebrity is like, we're going to include for the next 10 seconds the immediate group in this joke.
You could be standing behind and you could pay attention. You
Yes.
could essentially eavesdrop. You can laugh, but like it's not your moment.
Don't call out. Don't
sure.
try to join the conversation. It's not about you. It's about the person in front of you whose time it is. So yeah, that's a good one. Food, it's going to be expensive. So you can do food 2 ways. You can buy the food there, and it's going to be very expensive. Or you can pack your own food, depending on the convention. They may or may not allow you to bring in outside food. So you may get stuck
So
buying.
just make it part of your cosplay.
Exactly. Yeah, you
or
can do that.
hopefully you can leave for a little bit if anything
Yeah.
is nearby.
Yeah, and most conventions allow re-entry. That's not usually a big deal,
Right.
Because you'll have like your wristband or your badge or whatever for that day. So
Okay.
then there's extracurriculars. So things that only happen at the convention but that aren't sponsored by the convention.
Oh.
There might be like fan events. So at both Gen Con and FanX, there are quite large Critical Role photo shoots. For all the Critical Role cosplayers that are there, they'll get together and they'll take a big photo shoot. And it's like, it'll be like, okay, everybody from Campaign 1, everybody from Campaign 2, okay, all of Marisha Ray's characters that she's played get
It's
together.
like a
Okay,
wedding
all of them.
party photo
yes,
shoot.
exactly.
Yeah.
Only more colorful, usually.
Yeah.
And
It depends on the
strange. yeah.
Depends on the con.
Depends on the con. Or like a lot of cons will have like an evening with whatever celebrity.
Okay.
Like they did a couple years ago with Zachary Levi when he came. There was like an evening with him. I'm hoping this year at FanX, and I think there's a good chance this will happen. I think Rosario Dawson and Hayden Christensen are coming. I've got
information.
Yeah, I do. I've got a little system for predicting which celebrities are coming, and it's pretty accurate. So I will be attending that if that happens.
Well, it's funny too because just bringing this back real quick. These celebrities who come to these, they don't do them just for fun.
Nope, they are here to make money.
They get cash for appearing.
Yeah.
This is a way for people to milk the fame as long as they can. And for right or for wrong. I think actually it's a great way for these people because it's like it's giving these people joy and they're getting some out of it too.
That's why you see a lot of melted people
Oh,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have used that term.
and C-list actors from The Office.
Yeah, true
Because
story.
it's like that's their way to get a
Yeah.
little extra cash in and also to get an ego boost. I mean, see these people that love you, that's awesome too.
Kyler, I'm going to boil this down to 5 P's that I just listed. They're not going to make much sense, but it's prep, pack, politeness, pay attention, and pay money.
Yes.
Wow.
That's every
good. That's very
every
good.
convention.
That's every
Wow.
convention. Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife insisted I include this. We're to the miscellaneous category now of just stuff that wasn't really its own category.
Yeah.
Conning with kids, as my wife called it, plan some downtime for the kids. They're going to get overstimulated. So
I mean, it depends on the con, but most of these conventions I've been to, I have taken my kids. They're pretty kid friendly,
Yeah.
and they'll have actually specific
Yes.
activities for the
sections.
kids to keep them entertained. My kids loved it. I wouldn't recommend taking them to maybe like a horror
both
con or
Gen
something
Con
like that.
and FanX, I believe, both have like quiet rooms where you can go in and just like have your kids like chill out for a little bit. And
Do they have
it's
quiet rooms for adults too? 'Cause
You can go in there.
nap
Yeah.
or something.
I need
Nap
one of
rooms,
those.
nap con.
And then
I would
if you're
go.
bringing if you're bringing kids, bring snacks. Then I said probably
Yes.
double what you think you'll need.
Because you're walking a lot and
You're
you
walking
need
a lot. Snacks
bring
make
water
the kids
too. Yeah.
happy. Yeah, just whatever you think is going to be enough.
Yeah.
Double that, and then
most-
probably a little bit more.
Most conventions usually are indoors. There are bathrooms. There are drinking fountains. So you don't. It's not like you're outdoors in the heat, but it definitely gets hot in there too.
Yep. People watching, we kind of already talked about that.
That's another P.
This is an important one that gets way overlooked.
6 P's.
Plan some rest for yourself. Like plan a time where you're like, I'm going to just sit down for a half an hour.
It's easy
and
at
rest.
NapCon. At NapCon, it's
super easy.
Lay down.
Yeah.
Then you got to rest from the resting, and it's
Yeah.
a whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, really plan some time to just sit down, rest for a minute,
Love
because
it.
you don't realize how much you're walking. I mean, not even kidding. We walked probably like 10 miles at Gen Con
Yeah.
in a day. Just walking up and down the aisles and around, like it's
Wait till you get to WalkCon.
it's so much. It's
They
like
just have
20
people walking
minimum.
around. There's no booths. It's just walking.
Yeah.
Walk on.
Walk on.
Walk on.
Wakanda. Yep. Wear sensible shoes. We talked about that.
Yes.
Accept that you won't get to do everything. Talked about that. And then most importantly, go with friends.
Yeah.
It's so much more fun. Like, yes, a con is fun by yourself. Go with friends. If you go by yourself, make some friends while you're there.
Line buddies.
Guarantee there's going to be other people. Yeah, exactly. That are there by themselves. One thing that you can do, this is one thing I do at every FanX. So FanX does something really cool. They have a whole bunch, like 30 DMs up on the 3rd floor that are ready.
Dungeon masters
that are ready to do a D&D one shot.
Play a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly.
Thank you, Joel.
Every FanX, I kind of talk with like my friends from Twitter and stuff and find out who's going to FanX, and we pick a day and we're like, hey, on this day at this time, we're all going to meet up and we're going to go upstairs and we're going to play a game of D&D together. And then so we're all there kind of at the con doing our own thing and having a good time, but then we all get together as friends and go do this thing as friends. And that's really fun. And most
Is that free?
conventions, yes, it is free actually at FanX. It's very cool.
Speaking of people with no friends, also if you see a decent looking guy with tall hair busking for you to come to his game show in the middle of FanX, do it, please, because it was me. I did that.
It's another story. He's
Nobody
hidden from us all these years.
Nobody came to my game
Who
show.
are you, Zach?
Oh, hey, Zach. One person came to your game show this year, the listener.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
My listener's my favorite.
Okay, Kyler, I feel like we ran the gamut. Thank you. I hope this.
Thanks
kind
for
of-
walking the floor with us.
Yeah, I hope this, like, if people haven't gone to a convention, maybe they'd feel more comfortable going. and spending all their money.
It's a lot of fun.
And then, I mean, for those of you who have gone to conventions, let us know if you have any other tips or tricks. We want to hear from you about, what your methods are, what your tactics are to make it the best possible experience at any sort of convention. It doesn't have to be a fan convention. It could be a business convention.
Yeah, a lot of these rules are pretty universal. So
Yeah. Tell us all about that Adobe Con.
I definitely cosplay a lot at the Barber Expo. So.
Kyler, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out here at the end of the show?
Yeah, I want to shout out Dragon's Keep down in Spanish Fork. That's my local game store where I play all my Star Wars games.
Awesome.
And they're good people. So they have 4 locations: Lehigh, Orem, Provo, and Spanish Fork. So
Nice.
Go in and spend your money
I've
there.
heard of those places.
My wife, my lovely cosplaying wife, Christina. She's
My
so
wife.
beautiful. And if you see us at FanX, like, honestly, stop, take a picture. She loves it. It makes her feel flattered and like people appreciate her cosplay.
Cool.
So
Before we go, we want to thank some patrons in a couple of categories, including the I Am the Listener tier, which is Adam and Rachel Crump, Alicia Bass, Angela Plotz, Casey Cummings, Jennifer Kilkowski, Juice the Cooler King Swallow, Lady Terry A. Finley, Rocky and Steph, Ryan and Marley, Scott Umberto Sprague. It was an inside joke from the show. Shannon West, Sir and Madam Hicks, Some Guy, and Taylor Sanderson. Then, of course, we have the Bacon Council, which is Debbie Foster, Glow Clendaniel, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, Nicole Deke Hale, our favorite couple, the Madsons, Star Wars expert Kyler.
hey, that's me.
Hey.
Stephen, everyone's favorite Ross, the one, the only Chris Anderson, the other Brit Johnny English, and Beaker.
Thank you, patrons. You are the It Depends On to are the con. But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find me performing with Quick Wits Who Perform at the Midwell Performing Arts Center and the studio at Parker Theater. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quick Wits Facebook page.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Kenny3DD. You can read my movie reviews at ShowtimeShowdown.com.
And if you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale. Please like that Facebook page and follow at Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram. After you've done that, go to tpublic.com/Baconsale, where you can get yourself some merch. If you like what's going on here and you want to support us further, visit patreon.com/Baconsale, where support starts at just $3 a month. You can get all sorts of extra benefits, including probably a longer version of this episode, I'm sure.
Uncut convention.
In addition to our Bacon Bits, which are always a good time, and definitely very short, tight 10 minutes, no fussing
Never.
around, and very focused. None of that's true. Patreon.com/Baconsale. So until next time, please join us next year at Baconsale?
Just Bacon.
Bacon?
Bacon con sounds.
Baconsale Con? Bacon. My name is Lester.
Joel.
I'm exhausted.
It's always like the most convention season. It's like drugs. You have to have somebody show you the way.
Hello. Why should I even go to one of those? It sounds weird and smelly. And I have to tell them, I mean, it is. But it's like fun, weird, and smelly.
There was
Peppercon, if you're
never-
big fans of doctors. That's like the price of like a high-end megaphone.
Of all the Jennifers, Jennifer Garner,
She's my favorite.
She is
Come on.
lovely.
Sanford Jennifer episode.
Lopez, Lawrence,
Better.
Love Hewitt.
You already did a name game episode.
Everyone goes to FOMOCon, Kent.
It's pretty cheap to buy your way into the Jedi Council troll.
Oh, Anakin couldn't do
$1,000?
it.
Because I already set the budget. So,
Kyler
Yeah.
math.
look at this cool thing that's fuzzy. I wish you were here. Stuff
I
that
do
they've
like
brought
people
to
if
the
I can use
convention.
them.
It's a con rom-com. If you're dressed as Slender Man, just stand in the corner.
Just stand in the corner, you'll be fine.
Ooh, creepy.
Yeah.
the whole panel.
Am I the only one that can see him?
Yes. I get enjoyment through my eyes, not my wallet. So she's
Freya
not
was.
just Ahsoka, she's a super Ahsoka. You're planning on getting banned again.
Oh, I'm already on my last life on this one. Find Zack coughing here tonight.
I killed him with that Peruvian dish.
You did.
It totally depends on the convention. It depends on the convention. It depends on the con.
It depends
It
on the
depends
con.
on,
Yeah,
depends on
okay.
the con. It depends on the con.
Are you saying it depends on the con?
It does. It depends on the con. It also depends on the celebrity.
Okay.
So bigger celebrities,
Much
like,
like the con.
depending on the convention,
It depends
strange.
on the wedding.
Yeah.
Depends on the con.
Depends on the con.
Nice.
Why'd you say it like that?